He disappeared with my money, found another woman, bought her a ring, and then he came back to ask for forgiveness and for money. Only this time, I'm only investing in myself. My name is Stella, I'm 28, and I've always believed that true love is not just about sharing happiness, but helping a person become better. That's exactly what I thought when I met Jordan, a guy who seemed to have all the answers, except for one: how to hold on to happiness. We met at my friend Gina's birthday party. He came with one of her colleagues, was late, but showed up with that smile it was hard to forget. He spoke about plans, dreams, startups, self-roasted coffee, and a business that would change the game. He was ambitious, charismatic, and, worst of all, a little lost, and I always had a weakness for those who needed to be saved. You are stability, and I am chaos. Together, we are the perfect balance, he said that evening as we walked along the waterfront after the party. I laughed. I thought there was something poetic in his words. I worked as a financial analyst in a small company, lived in a rented apartment, had a life plan and a calm schedule. He lived by the principle of today or never, didn't have a stable job, but had a sparkle in his eyes when he talked about the future. We started dating fast, like a fire. All my friends said, "Stella, he's too frivolous. You have a career and he has dreams." And I just replied, maybe one of us has to stop calculating the risks and just start living. A few months later, he moved in with me. He brought morning coffee to bed, played the guitar for me, read aloud snippets from business books he didn't even finish. And when I heard him say, "I'm so lucky that you believe in me when no one else does," I thought that was exactly what true support looked like. I didn't know that I would soon realize the difference between someone you lift up and someone who just pulls you down while you're trying not to fall. When Jordan moved in with me, I thought the best period of my life was beginning. I woke up to the smell of coffee, and he played the same song on the guitar that he invented for us. He knew how to make the mundane look romantic. Dinner with canned pasta sauce suddenly became an Italian evening. I worked a lot, sometimes late into the night, reviewing financial reports, while he sketched ideas for his future business. His laptop was always open, but the screen often flashed not with spreadsheets, but with YouTube videos about how to quickly become successful. "Stella, I'm just looking for inspiration," he'd say when I paused near him with a cup of tea. I smiled, because I wanted to believe. We shared everything except the bills. When the rent or electricity payments arrived, he would hug me from behind and whisper quietly, "Honey, I'll pay next month, honestly. Right now, all the money is going into developing the idea." His idea changed every week, sometimes his own coffee shop, sometimes a clothing brand, sometimes a business blog. I didn't object because I wanted to be the one who supports when things are tough. But with time, small details began to stand out. His clothes became more expensive. New sneakers, which I definitely hadn't bought, appeared in the closet. His phone always face down. And when I casually asked why he didn't want to get a part-time job, he replied with a phrase that stuck in my head for a long time: "I don't want to work for someone, Stella. I'm made for something bigger." It sounded beautiful, almost like a movie quote. Except the movie ends, and the rent has to be paid every month. And when my friend Gina once said over coffee, "You're not his partner, you're his sponsor," I laughed. But inside, I felt she was right. More and more often, I woke up at 7 in the morning, saw he wasn't home, and convinced myself he was at a meeting. And when he returned around noon with a bouquet of roses, I forgot all my doubts. Because love doesn't make us blind, it just makes us look in the direction that hurts less. One evening, Jordan came home with shining eyes. "Stella, this is the chance. I've come up with a business, my own coffee brand. It'll be simple. We roast the beans, package them, sell online. I've already found suppliers." He spoke so convincingly that I could almost see the logo on our cups. Only the "we" quickly turned into "I." A few days later, he said he needed money for the start, just a few thousand. But his credit history was ruined, so he asked me to take out the loan in my name. "You believe in me, don't you? I'll pay back every cent." I agreed. At the time, it felt like a gesture of love, not stupidity. We even joked that it's our joint startup. But while I was calculating the loan interest, he was calculating the likes on his photos with coffee and the hashtag new beginnings. And even though something was tightening inside, I continued to believe because I was afraid to admit that my partner had just learned how to sell promises well. After I took out the loan, Jordan became different. Not abruptly, gradually. Like coffee that is sweet at first and then leaves a bitterness. He started to disappear more often, said he was meeting with investors or suppliers. His phone always on silent. Messages deleted. When I asked, he laughed, "God, Stella, don't start. If you don't trust me, what's the point of the relationship?" This phrase became his favorite defense. And I, instead of getting angry, apologized. He started buying new things, a jacket, sneakers, even an expensive watch. "This is all for the business. I have to look presentable when I meet clients," he explained. But the business never moved forward. The website he promised to launch wasn't working. Partners disappeared. And the money was also gone. One day I said, "Maybe you can show me the reports so I can help with the finances?" He abruptly leaned back in his chair and coldly replied, "You don't understand the creative process. You just want to control." It hurt, because I truly wanted to help, and he made me the guilty one. Even Gina, who once supported him, started to notice the change. "Stella, he's using your guilt. This isn't a partnership, it's manipulation." I knew she was right, but admitting it meant destroying the fairy tale I had created for myself. So I did what most women in love do when things fall apart. Instead of leaving, I bought another coffee machine, hoping that maybe the aroma of new coffee would bring the old Jordan back. One morning, I woke up and Jordan was gone. His phone was off, his laptop was missing, some of his belongings too. In the kitchen, an unfinished coffee and the keys to my car. At first, I thought he had just left on business. Then a day passed. Then two. I called everyone, friends, hospitals, even the police. After 3 days, a short message arrived. "I need time. Don't look for me." No explanation. No apology. Just emptiness. I sat on the floor by the bed, holding the phone in my hands, and for the first time in all this time, I understood. I hadn't financed a business. I had financed his escape. Life stopped after he disappeared. Credit companies started calling daily. I returned from work and counted the cents left just to pay the minimum installment. Everything in the apartment reminded me of him. A cracked cup, the guitar he never took. First, I cried. Then I was angry, and then I just remained silent. Colleagues asked where he was. Friends hinted that "You're to blame, you trusted him too much." And I just nodded. Because I didn't know what hurt more, his betrayal or my own foolishness. I believed I was helping a man realize his dream. But it turned out I just paid for a ticket to his new life. A year passed. I had almost learned not to check his profiles, not to mention his name. But one evening, my friend Gina sent me a link from Facebook. "Did you see this?" On the screen, Jordan, smiling, in a pristine white shirt, embracing a girl. Caption, "She said yes, hashtag she said yes." And there was the same ring. The same one I had once seen in a file on his laptop when he was showing me design options for the future. I was thrown into a cold shock. Not because of her, but because of the realization that he had bought that ring with my money. That's when, for the first time, I didn't cry. I just laughed. Because I understood, he truly executed his business plan. Only the product was me. I thought for a long time about what to do. The lawyer said the chance of getting the money back was almost zero. Everything was in my name. Friends suggested I forget about it. But I didn't want to be silent anymore. One evening, I simply opened my phone, pressed record, and said, "Hi, I'm Stella. And I just found out I financed someone else's engagement." No hysterics. No tears. Just facts, contracts, screenshots, messages. I posted it on TikTok, titled the video, "How I Paid for Someone Else's Engagement Ring." And it exploded. Overnight, millions of views, hundreds of comments from women who had gone through the same thing. I was no longer pitted, I was heard. Everything changed after that video. Women wrote to me from all over the world. Some lost money, some lost years, some lost faith in themselves. I realized I am not a victim. I am a voice for those who are still silent. I created the page at Financial Feminism, where I started sharing advice on how not to let love destroy your finances and dignity. My life, which once revolved around one man, now revolved around hundreds of stories about female strength. I lost money, but I found myself. And this time, no loans, no debts, no Jordan. Almost 2 years have passed. My life became calm and stable, no drama, no debts, no him. I conducted financial webinars, received invitations to podcasts, and every time I introduced myself, someone in the comments would write, "Oh, that's the girl who financed someone else's wedding." Now that phrase sounded not like a shame, but like a victory. One evening, as I was returning home after a presentation, someone knocked on the door. Standing on the threshold was Jordan. The same one, only older, exhausted, with no sparkle in his eyes. His smile, once so confident, now looked strained. "Stella, you've grown incredibly. I saw your videos. You are so successful. Do you want forgiveness?" I asked calmly. He lowered his eyes. "And forgiveness, and maybe a small loan. The business failed. I need something to start with." I almost laughed. His voice was the same as it once was, the same one he once used to promise to pay back every cent. "Jordan," I said quietly, "you've already taken more from me than anyone ever could. And the money is the smallest part of it." He stood silently. Shame in his eyes, emptiness in his pockets. And perhaps it was then he understood. He came asking for help from the woman he himself had once broken, and whom his betrayal had made stronger. I closed the door without even saying goodbye. From the other side, I heard his weak, "Stella, I'm sorry." But I didn't stop. That evening, I recorded a new video. He came back, asked for forgiveness and money. And guess what? Finally, I owe him nothing.